People in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo have endured 25 years of war. The conflict here is the deadliest global conflict since World War II, with over 6 million people killed. Now, they're facing down another rebellion.
So this is a national military recruitment site. In the last couple of weeks, the president called for everybody to arm themselves or to join the army in order to fight against the M23 rebels. The general said that over 1,000 people are showing up every day here to join the fight.
Ice go! Ice, ice! Ice go! Out there!
After decades of violence and an explosion of rebel groups looking to exploit its mineral resources, the country is frantically mobilizing against the M23 rebels, militants from the minority Tutsi ethnic group who last took the regional capital Goma in 2012. Fighting between the army and M23 has displaced over 500,000 Congolese people in just a few months. The National Army, along with the 15,000-strong UN peacekeeping force, haven't been able to stop the rebels from taking critical territory. Determined to stop Goma from falling to the rebels again, men and women across the East are joining the fight. Esperance Batende left her 2 children at home and traveled over 60 miles on foot to enlist.
Nasirika. Nikaimiri minacha mashamba, minacha watoto, minacha kila kitu wazazi. Minakuya hapa juu ya kuenda kazi ya kujua gizi binaweza pigana na adui yetu. Kila wote unakutana familia fulani kwa alia M23 aliwaka babaki. Yatima fulani anabakia na hana baba. Ibaki watu wa mingi yuko wanalia tu mjina M23. Si bote tuko tunalia mfamilia ile jina ya M23.
Esperance knows Congo's cyclical violence well. Her father and husband were both killed fighting in the army during the last M23 rebellion.
Isa yenyewe ba M23 baliingiaka sasa ku position ko balikuwaka atake ya kwanza hapo ndio walikuwaka ba premier cadavre.
Did you feel like they died heroes?
Yeah, walikuwa watu mashujaa walikufia nchi yao. Sasa gizi na mimi naweza enda mina pigania tu nchi vile mnafia nchi.
And who do you think is responsible specifically for this conflict?
Ni wajirani yetu Rwanda. Ni Rwanda.
But the rebels are Congolese, right? They've been fighting here before.
Hapana, haiko bakongomani. Ni Banyarwanda ba Rwanda. Mali yetu tuko nayo ndio biko wanatupiganisha juu yao, wanapenda watu bagabule nchi yetu mara pili.
Congo's neighbors, Rwanda and Uganda, have fueled instability here for decades, backing proxy militias in order to illegally extract minerals like coltan and gold. Rwanda is the world's 3rd largest coltan exporter, even though Rwanda has no industrial coltan mines. Rwanda denies meddling in Congo, but its support of M23 was confirmed by a leaked UN report with photos of Rwandan troops crossing into Congo and M23 fighters with Rwandan army uniforms and weapons. These links mean the conflict risks spiraling into a regional war that plays out along ethnic lines. M23 was formed by ethnic Tutsis, the group targeted in Rwanda's 1994 genocide and the ethnicity of Rwanda's president. Rwanda now claims that Congolese Tutsis are being harassed and killed in the name of fighting M23. In a country where rebel groups form along ethnic loyalties, the president's latest move could make things worse.
La guerre qui nous est imposée par nos voisins exige de chacun de nous des sacrifices. À cet effet, la mise en place de centres de recrutement à travers les 26 provinces que compte notre pays.
The eastern region of North Kivu has borne the brunt of rebel groups vying to control mineral wealth. It's been under an official state of siege for almost 2 years and is now on the front line of M23's fight.
We're on the way to meet up with one of these vigilante groups that's fighting against M23. They're former rebels now recruiting again to join this fight. It's been really complicated to negotiate a way to actually get to them because M23 is advancing, and this is an area that's kind of littered with rebel groups, with bandits, and with a military presence. So we've had to negotiate with a bunch of the different groups in order to try and guarantee safe passage.
When we arrived, we drove straight into crowds gathered to celebrate the arrival of the rebels. Self-proclaimed Lieutenant General Janvier Carreri leads the Alliance of Patriots for a Free and Sovereign Congo, or APCLS rebels, and fought the M23 in 2012. The general is welcomed here by people living just a few miles from advancing M23 soldiers.
Tuwahayarishe wale wavamizi wa nchi yetu ya Kongo. Tuko tayari, hakuna hata metri moja ambayo itatoka juu ya udongo wetu tukiwa hai. Mungu awabariki sana kwa mapokezi ambayo mmetupokea.
He's here to recruit and train both civilians and rebels fighting with other groups.
So how close is M23 to us right now? How close is the threat?
Bamekuwa karibu, inaweza kuwa kilometri 15, 13 mpaka 13.
Do you feel ready to, with these new recruits, to be in battle with them in the next few days?
Ndiyo, tuko tayari na tutaingia kule ambako walitokea.
And I see you're fighting alongside and for the same cause as the national military. Why is that after you've been on the other side in the past?
Tumependa nchi yetu isivamiwe. Ile ndio inaacha tunaweza tukachangana na guvernema, lakini nao wakishikamata mubaya nao tunaweza wapiga kama wanasaidiana wale waasi.
Many people are accusing M23 of being funded by Rwanda, maybe even Uganda. Can you tell me where you get your funding?
Sisi hatusaidiwe na mtu fulani wala nchi fulani, ni sisi pekee.
So how are you managing to pay for all of these guys, weapons, comms, equipment? You have no one, even local support?
Sisi ni wapatrioti. Hatuwezi kutumika juu ya pesa. Tunatumika tu ni upendo ya nchi yetu. Nchi yetu ina mali mingi. Sawa vile nchi za kigeni zinakuya kuiba mali yetu.
Have you given any thought to what's going to happen after you defeat M23? What will happen to all of these different factions of rebel groups and army?
Tutakuwa tayari kutumikia sasa Kongo yetu. Sababu tumetafuta amani.
Even with these new rebel coalitions, the town fell to M23 just a few weeks later. As the army and rebel groups scramble for new recruits, M23 has vowed to continue their offensive to push the government into negotiating with them. They claim they're protecting the Tutsi minority in eastern Congo and accuse the government of not honoring their previous peace agreement. After months of resisting media coverage, raising suspicions that they're hiding Rwandan soldiers in their ranks, our contacts with the group gave us 24 hours notice to meet them at their military headquarters. To reach their territory, we had to leave Congo. The group then facilitated our entry through Rwanda and Uganda.
So we're just crossing into Congo from Uganda, and it's at a border post that's been closed for the last year because of the conflict here. This is the first town that M23 took when they were going back into Congo. When we got here, at first they weren't going to let us cross, they wouldn't let us take the car, but it seems like they're letting us cross now.
In the face of mounting evidence that M23 is massacring civilians, the group's leaders finally agreed to talk to the press.
La prise par nos troupes de Kishiche a été donc un coup dur. C'était donc un affront que l'ennemi aurait sans doute voulu lever à n'importe quel prix.
At a press conference to defend themselves against allegations by the UN about civilian deaths, the group's political leader, Bertrand Bisimwa, also insisted Congo's Tutsi population are facing a genocide.
Les actes de génocide qui sont présentement en cours dans l'est de la RDC, cette situation est partie des messages de haine ethnique et de xénophobie qui avaient été lancés par des autorités et leaders d'opinion de la RDC. Et les personnes qui sont ciblées et pourchassées, ils le sont à la suite de leur appartenance ethnique et de leur faciès.
So I understand that you've said the Congolese government are the ones who started the war. Today at your press conference, you also denied any responsibility for these massacres that the UN said killed at least 170 people. Are you at any point going to take some responsibility for the impact of the war here?
D'abord, je dois vous dire, certifier qu'il n'y a pas eu de massacre à Kishiche. La conférence de presse que nous avons faite, c'était pour établir la vérité.
You have used the word genocide a lot. That's a very inflammatory word to use here, sitting on the border of Rwanda and Congo. And there's no evidence yet that the discrimination against the Tutsi Congolese population is anywhere close to a genocide at the current moment.
Alors, devrons-nous attendre qu'on extermine tout le monde pour qu'on parle d'un génocide? On a vu à Kinshasa des Congolais d'autres communautés marcher dans les rues de Kinshasa avec des machettes à la recherche des rwandophones. Ce n'est pas qu'on attend que le génocide, que l'extermination s'est faite pour parler de génocide. Lorsque nous parlons, nous défendons ces gens-là, tout le monde nous traite de Tutsi, n'est-ce pas?
Do you categorically deny, like the other leaders of M23, that you have any backing, financial or logistical, from Rwanda or Uganda?
Si nous avions un soutien du Rwanda et de l'Ouganda, vous pensiez que je serais ici, je vous dis, je serais à Kinshasa.
But you could have the support of Rwanda and Uganda without having the full support of their armies. There's UN group of experts reports, eyewitness accounts of Rwandan forces on the ground, reports of funding and logistical support. Do you deny all of that?
Ce n'est pas vrai.
We have to go. We have to go?
After pushing him on Rwanda, our interview was cut short, and we were asked to leave the country earlier than planned.
So these M23 soldiers are just escorting us back to the Ugandan border that we crossed this morning. We're not entirely sure why it's such a rush. Originally, they told us we could stay a bit longer, but they suddenly said that we had to go.
Rwandan authorities denied our repeated requests for an interview, but told Vice News, quote, Rwanda has no interest in perpetuating a conflict on its borders or being drawn into an internal conflict in the DRC, adding, the accusations of the UN group of experts are without basis. Even in the face of an international war with Rwanda, Congo's government has much more than M23 to contend with. The population's anger is boiling over into sustained protests against the perceived failure of the government and the UN to protect people. The UN's MONUSCO peacekeeping mission is one of the largest and oldest in the world. It has $1 billion annual budget and peacekeepers and bases across the country. But resentment against the Blue Helmets has been building for years as poorly armed rebels continue to massacre civilians in towns with large UN forces.
Tusimamie nchi ili wasikuye kutugabula.
Organizers like Jackson Zahara are behind the protests, demanding for the UN to leave the country. Sinzahara is rallying participants for another protest to demand that foreign troops, the UN, and regional forces from East Africa leave Congo to fight its own battles.
Why is there such intense anger even when this population is being attacked by rebel groups in their area? Why are they so angry at the UN?
Donc, la colère là ne vient que de ce qu'a joué la mission onusienne au Congo. Ils ont venu juste piller nos minéraux. Ils n'ont pas restauré la paix comme ça stipule dans leur mission. Et on a connu la multiplication des groupes armés. Au fait, parce que lorsque quelqu'un vous dit no war, no job, ça veut dire qu'ils sont là pour le business.
So you don't think it would have any impact if all these troops, all of these weapons that are supposed to protect people here just disappeared tomorrow?
Avant la MONUSCO, le Congo existait et on vivait en paix. Et après la MONUSCO, le Congo continuera. Parce qu'on n'est pas obligé de vivre éternellement avec une mission qui ne nous apporte rien. Nous devons nous battre pour vivre un Congo nouveau, un Congo digne et un Congo bien gouverné.
Recent anti-UN protests have turned deadly. At least 29 civilians and 4 UN peacekeepers died in protests where UN facilities were ransacked and looted throughout eastern Congo. Despite the risks, people still turned up in downtown Goma to join Sinzahara's team.
These protesters are trying to make it to the center of the city, outside one of the big UN peacekeeping bases there. But the police, the governor, and the UN have all asked them to call it off already. So it looks like about a quarter of the protesters actually made it here to the UN. The police stopped a bunch of them in town. They arrested some journalists. These guys at least are going to try and do a sit-in here.
Pour nous, on a un message, la patrie ou la mort nous vaincront, et on ne libère pas un peuple se libère. La paix ne viendra pas des Kenyans, la paix ne viendra pas des Ougandais ou des Burundais. La paix ne viendra que du peuple congolais. Et c'est aujourd'hui ou jamais, le peuple se lève pour dire non à ce complot international contre notre pays.
But as soon as police descended, the remaining protesters had to run. M23 has surrounded Goma and vows to take the city again. Frustrated and angry, young Congolese people like Esperance say this fight is the last straw in the endless violence they've experienced.
Do you think in your lifetime that Eastern Congo can be totally at peace and rid of all of these rebel groups?
Habatagabulaka hii nchi kama tungali na sie na sirika ke tunashe tuko tu basoda na sie tuvale tu teni. Habatagabulaka hii nchi. Ndeshanjo vishe ingia na mwakili, na damu, na muesprit, antuka tusha sirika.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.